Recently, we've been getting absolutely bombarded with information on the upcoming prequel to Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Not only did we get a look at gameplay during the Tokyo Game Show, but we recently got a little look at Robbie and Pura, two characters who appeared during Breath of the Wild, though of course Robbie is by then an old man and Pura is technically an older woman, though in the body of a 6-year-old due to reversing her aging through Sheikah technology. And of course, just a couple of days ago we were given another extensive look at Age of Calamity, including gameplay of Urbosa. There's a lot to unpack here, so if I do post a full analysis, it'll likely take some time. But for now, I thought it'd be cool to show off a few interesting details in the gameplay footage. So subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content, and without further ado, let's get into it. The second battle we see in the treehouse is actually a training exercise, titled Link Two-Handed Weapons. We can see from the overworld screen that the battle limits Link to two-handed weapons with a set time limit, and restricts his allies, meaning it's just him versus a horde of enemies. Of course, being a training exercise, these enemies aren't evil, they're Hylian soldiers, with Daruk himself appearing as the boss of the level. The level itself looks awesome, Link smashing through a legion of Hylian troops with an iron sledgehammer, but what's interesting is where this battle takes place. It's the ranch ruins from Breath of the Wild. These ruins are found in North Hyrule Field and feature a horse track, a broken tower, and a few decrepit buildings. But people were quick to notice after Breath of the Wild's launch that the ranch ruins line up almost perfectly with another ranch in the Zelda series, Lon Lon Ranch from Ocarina of Time. Not only are the buildings nearly identical, with a brick house next to a wooden barn, the racetrack and even the tower match. It's a fantastic callback to Ocarina of Time, and it's incredibly sad to see such a nostalgic, iconic location reduced to ruins. But now, with Age of Calamity, we can see the ranch before it was destroyed. And if it wasn't clear enough in Breath of the Wild that this place was Lon Lon Ranch, it is now. The two main buildings are virtually identical to their appearance in Ocarina of Time. The house is made of white brick with a red tile roof, and the barn next to it featuring a sloping roof. The ranch ruins is one of the locations so many Zelda fans wanted to see before Ganon's assault on Hyrule, and it's so great to see him here in Age of Calamity. The Urbosa section of gameplay takes place, of course, in the Gerudo region, the town itself and the surrounding desert. There's a huge amount of awesome content here, like the return of Koroks, a Molduga attack, and seeing the Gerudo champion's lightning-based techniques, but a particular highlight for me is seeing the Yiga clan fighting in force. Previously, we've seen the Yiga clan only in small numbers, as assassins travelling Hyrule often in disguise, searching for Link. The only real exception to this in Breath of the Wild was the Yiga clan hideout, a den in the Gerudo region where the Yiga and their master are based. During the reveal trailer for Age of Calamity, we saw Urbosa fighting in Gerudo Town against a horde of the Yiga, likely this very same battle seen here in the treehouse gameplay. But this time, we also see Zelda and Link fight the renegade Sheikah, foot soldiers and blade masters alongside regular enemies like bokoblins. However, foot soldiers and blade masters aren't the only Yiga clan members we'll be fighting during this section of the game. There's a split second during the very end of the clip where the treehouse team pause to exit the level, where we can see not only the entire playable area in the Gerudo Desert, including the Yiga clan hideout featuring a boss symbol, but a small line of text at the bottom. The victory condition for the level: defeat Master Kohga. Master Kohga is of course the leader of the Yiga clan during Breath of the Wild, a character built up throughout the game as a feared, powerful warrior, but in reality is an out-of-shape, clumsy joke of a boss. We know that members of the Sheikah tribe are exceptionally long-lived. During Breath of the Wild, both Robbie and Impa lived for a century after the Calamity without the aid of Sheikah technology, but Kohga himself definitely doesn't seem as old as these characters are, suggesting that he was born sometime after the Calamity instead, which would mean that this Kohga during Age of Calamity is a different master entirely. This idea is supported by creating a champion, which suggests that Kohga inherited his name from his predecessors. So regardless of whether we're seeing a young Kohga, or the more likely instance of actually seeing his predecessor, we'll definitely be coming face to face with a master of the Yiga tribe during Age of Calamity. One of the oldest theories regarding Breath of the Wild concerns the abandoned house in Hateno village, which Link can buy from the Bolson Construction Company to use as his own. According to Bolson, the house has been vacant for years, ever since the old owner left for Hyrule Castle to report for service. They never came back, never wrote, so the house has finally been set up for demolition. This house obviously leaves a big question unanswered. Who did it once belong to? Who left their home abruptly to report for service at Hyrule Castle, never to return? The answer, many people think, is Link, who was appointed Zelda's personal knight at a young age, travelling with her across Hyrule, guarding her at all times, until he fell during the Great Calamity and slept for a century in the Shrine of Resurrection. This idea is mentioned in Creating a Champion, which notes that it's thought that Link's hometown may have been Hateno Village, but that no records exist of his origin. Breath of the Wild doesn't offer any further clues to this mystery, but it seems that it's a question we might see answered in Age of Calamity. When discussing a side quest called Making a Monster, where a youth from Hateno Village wants to create a monster dummy for training purposes, the Treehouse team mentioned that Link eventually helps the child create the dummy and that they train together. A Treehouse member mentions that she loves this little side quest, saying,
"And I love it because Link's from Hateno Village, so it's a very cute glimpse into his life."
Of course, we'll have to wait and see what the game itself shows regarding this, but it seems a lot like we'll see Link's origins explored fully in Age of Calamity, including his hometown, apparently Hateno Village. And if the hero does hail from this humble town, I'd wager that the abandoned house did indeed belong to him. One of the elements of Age of Calamity which stood out to me most was the game's UI, which is almost identical in design to that of Breath of the Wild. The map screen is of course the Sheikah Slate's world map, and all windows and selection boxes are the same style we see in the original game. An interesting detail is the level loading screen, which of course features a tip just like Breath of the Wild, but also designs of the game's main characters. The original game featured the divine beasts Link had currently rescued, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if this loading screen featured all currently unlocked characters. Here we can see, from left to right, stylized versions of Urbosa, Revali, Daruk, Mipha, Zelda, Impa, the Mystery Guardian, and Link. This is a neat touch and pretty straightforward, but a more subtle detail is the secondary loading screen, which is seen when the Treehouse team exits the Urbosa level. In the bottom right, a sword spins. At first, I thought I recognised it as a golden claymore, a Gerudo weapon, which would make sense after a level set in the Gerudo Desert. However, this isn't the case, it's actually the Master Sword. But not the design we're familiar with. It's the design found on the ancient tapestry, depicting Ganon's defeat 10,000 years before Breath of the Wild. Considering Age of Calamity's emphasis on the history of this iteration of Hyrule, and in particular this tapestry, which is seen everywhere from the game's trailers to the game's main loading screen, this is a fitting detail, and a cool little link to the legend of Calamity Ganon. A character mentioned but never seen during Breath of the Wild is Zelda's late mother. We only learn about the Queen of Hyrule through dialogue and through characters' diaries, but we know that she passed away when Zelda was 6 years old. It's hinted that Zelda's mother possessed the sacred power of her bloodline. Apparently, Zelda's grandmother could hear voices from the spirit realm, and her mother promised that her powers would awaken one day within the princess. An interesting detail about Zelda's late mother is that she was close friends with Urbosa, who writes in her diary about a visit from the Queen, her dear friend, who travelled to the Gerudo Desert so that Urbosa could meet the newborn Zelda. Of course, this is a relationship we never see explored further, but it seems that Age of Calamity might shine some light on the Queen of Hyrule. The Treehouse team note that
fans can look forward to getting more backstory on these characters as well. You really get a good look at Urbosa's relationship to Zelda, and also more information about Urbosa's relationship to Zelda's late mother. So if you're like me and you love to get to know the characters and get to know them in ways that you didn't get to in Breath of the Wild, this game is your opportunity to do that.
this is a relationship we've never really seen before, and I wonder how it'll be explored in Age of Calamity. Of course, Zelda's mother will have passed away by the time of this game, as Zelda was only 6 when it happened, but it's possible that we'll see her through memories, flashbacks to Zelda's youth or Urbosa's past. Either way, I'll take absolutely anything we can get when it comes to further exploring the history of Breath of the Wild's Hyrule and its characters. Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, leave a like or subscribe if you haven't already for more Zelda content. What are your thoughts on Age of Calamity? Is there anything cool that I missed? Let me know in the comments down below. And make sure to follow me on Twitter too, which is where I've been posting my reactions and initial thoughts about all the details coming out about this game. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.